Okay, I think we are live.
Live.
Hello, everybody. We're give it a little while. It always takes like, I don't know,
Yeah,
30 seconds.
that weird hang up where it takes a little while for it to confirm.
Yeah, to like come up on YouTube. Oh, here we go. Okay, we are up. Okay, cool. Hello, welcome. We are here to talk about Alanna, the first adventure by Tamora Pierce, which is I'm very excited about it. Yay! We've
That
got some
is.
people here. Okay, so you guys probably know I love this. I've read this many times over the years. Oh, good. We've got a few people. Some comments just popped up. Hello, well read head. Hey, Beth. Hi, Savannah. Yay. Hey, hey. Partition. Awesome. Oh, this is great. Oh, we've got more. Awesome. I'm so glad people are excited about this. Okay, so Ashley, it was your first time reading this. So I'm
It
gonna
was
let
my
you talk first.
So I'm not sure. I don't think I knew what to expect. I've heard about it so much just because of the fact that it moves a lot at the library. Um, but I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be my thing. So I'd heard a lot about it. But I wasn't sure what to expect. I was curious as to whether it was going to hold up since it was written in the 80s, but it was good, y'all. I enjoyed it. It was really good. I
Yeah.
even when I finished it, I was like, dang, I really want to start this second one. So I can't do it yet. I can't do it. I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna hold off. But yeah, it was really good.
I
I really
love it.
liked well, I mean, it depends on how you wanna discuss it. If you don't mind me kind of jumping in, just
Yeah, go
okay.
for it.
Um, so I was very happy to see the conversations that she had regarding like puberty. I was not expecting that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so we're making this truly realistic to the fact that we do have a young girl posing as a boy,
Mhm.
and how that's going to impact her, going through this process. It's not like, oh, magically puberty doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and she handled it so well. It was just, I'm gonna stop fangirling.
I'm so happy. It makes me I mean, this is
It
like
was
one of my
so
all-time
good.
favorite books. So like I'm so happy you loved
Like easily a 5-star read for me. It was good. I was blown away. There were
That's
parts
awesome.
that I went back and reread because I just thought that they were done so well. I really like the friendship dynamic um, that she had with some of the other characters. And there was a scene where she kicked whatever his name is, she kicked his backside. And I'm glad that she did because he was tearing her up for a little while. And I just felt some type of way about that. But um, y'all, I just don't, if you're in the chat and you haven't read
Yes.
this book, what are you doing?
It's so good. Yay. I know. Well, you wouldn't think because it's from the 80s, but yes. Oh, people are like very happy that you loved it.
Yes, it was so good, y'all.
That's awesome. Yay. Oh, awesome. First time reading the series and enjoyed it. I'm so glad that people are like reading it for the first time and stuff. Because I mean, I was like 11 or 12 the first time I read these. So, you know,
I can't
but
imagine how important this book would have been reading it
oh,
at like 11 or 12
it
years
was
old.
huge. It was
It would have
huge.
been huge, not only
Yeah.
just seeing yourself in a fantasy book, but
Hmm.
actually like the things that you would have been going through at that same age, seeing them
Yes.
represented on page was so important.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. One of
Yeah.
favorite aspects of the book was reaching puberty and discussing periods. Yeah. And like she has like birth control talks. Like I mean, it's really good. I, it was like such a pivotal book for me
Mhm.
in adolescence. And I also think too, back then, you didn't have books like that. Like when this was published, there
Yeah.
weren't really other books like this with like
No.
kick ass female characters. And even when I read it, like it was probably the late 90s and you were
Mm-mm.
just start like even then you didn't really it wasn't
Mm-mm.
yeah you didn't really
Mm-mm.
have much of it and so it was pretty groundbreaking. I think she kind of wrote what she wanted to see, which is good for her. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know, me too. I never know. I've reread it so many times and it still holds up like pretty well. I
It does
still
hold
just
up.
had such a good time with it. This is so cool. I'm glad people. Okay, I've really enjoyed it. Yay! I'm so happy.
Yes.
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 Mm-hmm.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
She had some stuff to work through, even though she was kind of set up, kind of in contrast of her brother of being able to do these things. So honestly, when I read it, I was like, okay, well, because she's trained already and she's more skilled than her brother, I was like, okay, well, she's going to go there and she's going to kick butt. And then she got there and it was like, you really don't have as much skill as you think.
Like, you don't know as much as you think. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. No, I love it. I know yeah, it's fun seeing like some people reading it for the first time. Yes. Yes. Her books are also good. This is so fun. Yeah, Protector of the Small is really popular, especially for people who liked animal books. Protector of the Small is like set in the same world as the Alanna books, following a different character. Yay! Oh, yeah, these would be good ones to pass on.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Pass on.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so fun. Never read it here for the This is so good.
Yay, Bree.
Need to read it. Yeah, Bree, you should read it. It's awesome. Oh, yeah. No, I read everything we had at the library from Tamora Pierce too. I did so
So
much.
so how big
Yeah.
is this world?
In terms of series or like,
Yeah, and I probably
yeah.
should have looked, but I didn't want to spoil. I was very
No, no,
like,
no, no.
I didn't want to spoil myself for anything, so I was like,
That's
maybe I
good.
shouldn't look. But
No, it's good.
how
It's good.
expensive?
So she is actually still writing books in this world.
That's right. Because what was the book with the book that just came out a few years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the backstory of a character who I think shows up in the series. It's been a while, so I'm gonna have to look at it. But yeah, there's I want to say 3 quartets and
Okay.
then like a duology and a couple
Mhm.
standalones. Like, so she's written quite a bit in Tortall. And then she also has her Circle of Magic series, which I think you would also like Circle of Magic. Um,
I'm willing to go for it now since that first book is, if that's the tone
yeah.
that we're working with.
Yes, yeah. Well, Circle of Magic is like less well known, but because it's set in a different world. But
Mhm.
I really liked it too, and it's about four young people who become friends and have different magical abilities, and it's a more diverse cast too. So there's like a queer Black girl, and there's like, and like when these were coming out, like the fact that she included like gay representation in her books, like it was pretty groundbreaking, and
Yes.
yeah, they're great. I love it. Yes, yes, yes. She
Mhm.
made the extra effort with training. I'm like, oh man, oh shoot, I'm like losing the comments here. Hold on.
There's a lot of comments coming in.
That's great. Yeah, I like George too. I've always loved George. He's great. What did you think of George?
I like them.
Yeah, I do too. He's good. He's fun. Yeah, Red Circle. Oh, fun. Reading a lot of for the first time. Yeah, I really like Circle of Magic too. So, but these are great.
They do a good time.
Alanna, I am the same. Alanna has a lot of. I think as Alanna was the first thing I read, and like the whole
Okay.
thing of like a girl wanting to be a knight was
Yeah. Yeah.
so huge. I mean, it's been out forever. You can get it. It's not that hard.
Go for it, Bree.
Get it, read it. It's so good. There. Okay, here we go. 3 quartets, 1 prequel trilogy, 1 duology, and then a new duology. Okay, so yeah, so that's all.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. The character shows up in the Wild Mat. That's right. Okay, so the one she's writing right now, it's the prequel about a character that shows up in one of the other quartets. Okay, thank you guys. You all know this better than I do. It's been a while. Oh yeah, one
Okay.
about Becca Cooper, his ancestor. I mean, There's a lot.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. Okay. Just like people have a lot to say about this.
Definitely a place of nostalgia for a lot of people.
It is. I mean, it's like, it's a big one. I feel like, yeah,
It's
um,
definitely bingeable
it
because
is.
I have trouble sometimes binging series, but it's been a minute since I've picked up a book and I was like, wait, I really just want to go ahead and pick up the second one. Um, so it definitely does feel bingeable, especially with the way that this one ends. It's kind of like
What's gonna happen next? Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
what now?
No, they're really fun. No, I love it. I have like other things I want to say, but I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'll have to like take a break from the comments probably so we can talk about it. But like, um, yes, I love her
Yes,
determination with the bully. I agree. And a girl and boy being friends without romantic.
without
Yeah,
romantic entanglement.
yeah. I mean, and I think as she gets older, there is some romantic entanglement, but she still is friends with some of
Mhm.
the boys, and I really like that a lot. Yeah. Um, Yeah, I think it was interesting. Something that I noticed reading it this time around that I don't know that I clued into is I think part of why it's so readable is she really cuts out anything unnecessary.
Mhm.
Like she kind of jumps from interesting scene to interesting scene without feeling like she has to transition it. She just does like a
Yeah.
paragraph break.
Yeah.
And I think that really keeps the pace moving.
Yeah. It's not a lot of filler, which is
Yeah.
probably why it felt like you're right. It's probably why it felt like you it's like page after page after page. You're like, okay, okay, what's happening? What's
Mhm.
happening? What's happening?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then that's how I knew it was good because I got to that final page and I was like, wait, that's it? Where's the rest of the
I
book?
know, I know. Well, and like this is 2 years. This covers
I
2
know, and it
years.
covers 2 years, and I was very surprised that it covers 2 years, and it actually threw me off for a second. I went to go
Mhm.
make sure I actually read it right because when she jumped to the second year, I was like, wait. I was like, that was a year, and then I was like, okay, well then this is the second year. So yeah, but it wasn't jarring because I've seen books where the time jumps are kind of like awkwardly done,
Yeah.
but even though it was quick, it still felt natural. I don't know if that made
Yeah.
sense, but it
Yeah.
flowed well. It flowed nicely.
I agree. No, that was kind of how I felt about it too. Well, and the thing is, you figure she's what, like 11 at the
11.
beginning, and I think she's like 19 or 20 at the end of the series.
Okay, so we get to follow her for an
So
extended
I
period
mean,
of
like,
time. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I, oh man, people like have so much to say. That's interesting. Yes, Bree, reading it in March. Wonderful. I
So
am happy to hear
I
that.
wonder if any, and I'm sure you know, Bethany, you don't have to answer this question, but
Mhm.
one of my main things that I was thinking was I wonder if one of her romantic entanglements was going to end up being the prince at some point because they have such a great relationship with each other.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
definitely see that becoming something else, even though right now they're
Mhm.
just friends, but they just have this close knit, um, just admiration and respect for each other that I thought was pretty neat. And they trust each other. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I will not spoil you, but I'll just say I will have lots to talk about later because I like the way she handles everything in the series. But we're like, she's still like 13, so we're not there yet.
yes.
But yeah. Yeah, no, the characters are so good. And it's funny, even in
Yeah.
short pages, like you really get a sense of who the main characters are, I think, which
Yeah.
is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. I didn't know this. One of her newer books has ace representation. That's awesome.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, she really, I think, tries to learn and grow over the years too. So, like, this came out in
Hmm.
the 80s, so it's not perfect with everything, which, like, I have one thing to talk about with that I noticed,
Hmm.
but like, already reread The Circle Suit, man. Yeah, these are good. They're very rereadable. It's, see, it's not that long. It's
It's
very
not.
short. I mean, if you read it physically, you will just fly through it. Seriously, it's
Yeah.
like it's so quick. Um, but yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad we're introducing you and other people to Tamora Pierce because
Hmm.
she's great. It's pretty wild. I got to see her in person when they released her last book a few years ago, and
Okay.
that was interesting. It was cool to hear her talk. Yes.
Yes.
I think this book holds up really well for
Yeah.
the most part. I do think so. One thing the I don't think I would have ever thought about before now
Hmm.
is I do, and I'm guessing if she wrote it today, she would do it a little bit differently. But I do think in terms of like the way it deals with gender as a binary, like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
somebody was
Yeah.
not NB or trans or something, like they could
Yeah.
be a little uncomfortable with that. That was like the only thing that
Yeah.
really stuck out to me.
But Brie, I
Um,
would say that was because that was one of my biggest fears going into it, is because I knew that it had been written in the 80s. I was not sure if it would hold up, but I mean, for the time in which it's written, and we're talking 2021, she did a very, very well job.
yeah,
Um, I mean, you can't, compared to some stuff that you would probably see from 30, 40 years ago, it holds up pretty nicely. In my opinion, I think it does.
I think so too. Well, I think what's interesting, I don't know if you had it fit. So I had never read this before, but like this edition has like a whole afterword
Mm-hmm.
that she wrote in 2014. Did you read that?
Mm-mm.
It's okay. So it was really interesting to me. I mean, I like stuff like this because I'm like, tell me about the authors. This is so interesting. That's
I'm not
okay.
even sit here and lie to you.
No, you don't need to. It's okay. I read it, so it doesn't matter. Uh, but what was interesting to me about it is she actually originally wrote it in like the 70s as one adult novel, like the whole series as a novel
Mhm.
for adults, and like couldn't sell it and had to tone it down for teenagers because originally it had like homosexuality and drugs and like some more sex in it. So she like toned it down for teenagers and split it into 4 books, which I
Mhm.
just think is so interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Tammy.
Hmm?
And Tammy's at the she's all the way at the bottom.
Oh, okay. Oh goodness, we are like so far. I'm so far behind, guys.
It's
There's so many people. Like I feel like I'm never gonna catch up with the comments. I usually don't have this many comments. I'm glad people are so excited. How do you do this? Because you get this on your live stream.
I don't answer. I can't. You can't keep up with all of them. It's impossible to do so.
Yes. Yes. This is exciting. She stated 2 of her characters are East. That's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Cool.
So that is nice. Like you said,
Yeah.
Bethany, that she's grown with her writing has evolved with time,
Mhm.
which is good to see in an author.
Yeah. So see, I like the time jumps because I think it keeps the pace going because I don't think you
Mhm.
miss anything that you really need. Like, I don't know, I find them cozy. They're like fun, easy reads.
I
But
always say that time jumps are very tricky to do. I think some authors are very, very capable of doing it, and
mhm.
some just are not. It's one book I read recently where the time jumps did it wasn't done very well. In this case, even yes, John, yes, yes, end game. I believe it. Um, but in this case, I think she did do a good job because it didn't leave me wanting more.
Mhm. Yeah. I love this. I thought I was just going to be here for the ride.
For
Plot
ride,
twist.
plot twist.
Yes. We're sucking more people in. Oh man, yeah, people are liking the chemistry. This is so great. I love it. They are very readable books. That is so true. They are. They're just like fun. I Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, like, because it just cuts out anything unnecessary.
Mhm.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Yeah, they're so good. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It talked so much about the pressure she felt to go above and beyond to prove herself and everyone else she deserved to be there because she was worried about being discovered. Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. It's like she knew she had to be better than anybody else, which I mean, you know, we're talking about like glass ceilings. That's very relevant for as a message for young girls.
And I wish I would have looked at it. I can just give kind of, well, not from the children's perspective so much, because there was fantasy being put out for children, but I wonder how much of that demographic were women writing fantasy, was, I'm sure there were others, but I mean, the only person and that's more science fiction, and I mean, this feels like a blend between science fiction and fantasy, I think A Wrinkle in Time.
Mm-hmm.
But there weren't that many, so I can only imagine how stressful it would have been to be a woman in such a male dominated space, trying or feeling like you had to prove that you were just as good as him. And sometimes if the fantasy fans can be hardcore. I've
Yeah.
seen some of today in 2021. They're pretty hardcore, so
Oh
I
yeah.
can definitely understand that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. The thing about that she talked about periods and birth control.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't and like people were not doing that back then,
But
like
you know what
not.
else? What else she said too was
Hmm.
that when whose mother did she go see, y'all? Um,
It was George's mother.
George's mother. Yes.
Hmm.
When she said to her that sex can be pleasurable for women too, that to me, I was like,
Yeah.
and that may,
Hmm.
I think it may seem like a small thing, but it's crazy that reading that in 2021, I'm still like, that is a huge thing to explain to a teenage girl, that sex
Yeah.
is not, just for you to pleasure your partner. You are supposed to have pleasure from it as well. So I was like,
That's
this
huge.
is the 80s? Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
I know.
this is
Oh, I
yeah,
know. Well, and I think it's so interesting too, the idea of like, we're going to start talking about this as soon as you start your period. Like, we're going to give you a birth control charm. We're not going to make a big deal about it. We're going to be like,
yeah,
when you get there, and here's the thing, if you have like for whenever, like,
yeah,
because she gave her the little charm, the
yeah,
birth control charm to wear, even though like she doesn't become sexually active for like till she's
yeah,
older. But I do think it's interesting as an approach to like, hey, like if you're at this point, your body is clearly like moving into puberty, so like let's talk about this.
yeah.
um yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, that's why like these books were revolutionary. Well, and for me, like this was one of like, also for me growing up as like a evangelical kid, like this was among the racier things I was reading, so I was like, I'm just not going to tell my parents that it talked about sex and birth control.
But you know what? I wonder how many kids had that same experience where this was their exposure to having the quote unquote talk, or
Yeah.
being exposed to just sexual content in general. I mean, it is a good representation of it. It is a positive representation of it to have it in children's books,
Mhm.
even like you said, even at the point where you're like, you may not be sexually active now, but you may choose to be later on.
Yeah.
Here's some birth control if you make that decision. So it was
Right.
just very, very positive. Just,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was very
And
positive.
like I won't go into detail, but like she continues to be very positive in the way she addresses it in
Yeah.
later books as she gets older too. So like I just think it's so well done. Um yeah, I do wonder what the adult version was like too. But it's like after this, she was like, nope, we're writing for kids. Well, and she talked about that the reason it happened is she was working at a group home for teenage girls and like would tell them the story, but she had to make it appropriate for them. And so she would like basically retell them the story of her novel that she was trying to get published, but like age it down for them. And that was how she kind of like worked out,
Okay.
which is
Maybe I should have read the afterword.
it was actually interesting. I read it, but I mean, I probably read it because I have so much nostalgia, and I was like, I want to hear it from Tammy because I like. No, it's fine. Oh yeah. There, hey,
Yeah.
there it is.
Mary's got it. Mary's
Mary's
got it.
got it. Yeah, I do think it. I do think it worked well like this. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it talks. See, yes, they're so good. They're so good, Brie. Like it's really impressive, honestly. And well, and like I said too, that she. Oh, I love that. That's so cute. That's great. Um, well, I also love that too. The Circle of Magic books. She has like a pretty diverse cast of characters. And even the covers are great. I wonder if you know what? Maybe I can pull up. Hold on. I'll show you guys like the. I can like find a good cover from. Oh, these are cute. Okay, this is kind of like some of this is like probably fan art, but I just like looked up images, so I thought I would just share. Hold on, let me share my screen. Okay, this always takes forever. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, so these are the characters from Circle of Magic. So you have like a tall queer black girl, you've got like a fat girl, you've got like it's great. They're wonderful. Wonder if I can find the like these are kind of what the original books looked like. There are two series, one where they're younger and one where they're older.
Okay.
But like they're great.
And these are not tied into. Do these take place in the same world, or are they different worlds?
It's a different world.
Okay.
So, yeah, but they're also very good. They're just like less well known, but yeah, they're great. Yes, it is fantastic. I agree. I love this. Yeah, hey, I hear you on that. That was me too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think too, it like she was able to get away with more of it later on, so that was part of it. Because I mean, these were published a while ago. Let's see. Ah, Robin Hobb. Do we want to talk about this?
We can.
Okay. So fun fact, we are planning after we finish this quartet to do the first Robin Hobb trilogy. So that will be coming. I have actually read the first book, but like, and then I think I read part of the second one, and then I don't know. I've been meaning to get back to them for so long, and I'm excited about it. So
yes, so yeah, that will be a thing this year.
That will be a thing. Her writing makes it okay. Well, you know what? This is like maybe this is like the YA like or the young version of it. I love it. That's cool. I love all of this. See, yeah, like different things about expressing femininity. That is one thing I really love too, is that she kind of takes it as like there are different ways of expressing femininity. And I think what I mentioned with the gender thing, my main thing was when she has that conversation with George's mom, and she says like, I have to deal with this. Like, I wish I could just be a boy. Yeah. And the mom is like, well, that's one thing that magic can't change. Yeah. And the faster you accept it, the happier you'll be, I think is what she tells her. Yeah. Which, like, now I would probably think it would be better to say something like, I don't know, not that magic can't change your gender presentation, but like maybe magic can't change it from what it actually is. I don't know. Like, yeah. I mean, I just think it's more complex than that now. But I do know for me, growing up, it hit home in a more positive way because I grew up with all brothers, and like I'm a cis woman, but I like had times where more because of what boys could do, I had those moments of being like, I wish I could be a boy because like they can do more stuff, So I think it like it hits well for that, but it could be like more of a concern for non-binary folks. That was really the only thing though that didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Reminds you of Robin Hobb. I think they were saying that Tamora Pierce reminds them of Robin Hobb, which I could see that, like a younger thing. That is interesting. That is possible.
I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised if that was, if that wasn't a factor.
Yep. I feel let down by everything after reading her. Oh no. Maybe try N.K. Jemisin. She's wonderful. Very different, but wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. Like, you need
It
that
is.
message.
It is super important.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, all the comments. I don't think my mom knew what all was in these books. Yeah, so I was not the only one.
Yeah, my mother would have been like, yeah. But if the covers, yeah, my mom wouldn't have. My mom tried to tell me I couldn't read the Bridge to Terabithia, y'all, because of the old school cover, because it's the way that it's set up, it looks romancy, and my mother did not know that it was a children's book. She was like, I remember her putting it in the kitchen drawer and was like, we'll save this one for later.
That's interesting. This is an interesting comment.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I think the flip of it is true too. Why is it that women who are publishing for adult audiences, people assume they're publishing for children?
Yes. The same thing happened with a good example of that is Year of the Witching, which was published by or was written by Alexis Henderson. People were adamantly trying to push that book was YA. And by no means is that book YA. It is an adult horror book, but it is interesting that when women step into adult publishing or they write for adults, they are assumed to be writing for a middle grade children or YA audience, and quite often they are not.
Yep, it happens a lot. I get on my little soapbox all the time telling people to check.
Yeah.
I hear booktubers doing it too, being like, "Oh yeah, this YA book," and I was
like, "No, honey,
not YA.
Not YA.
It's not YA." Yes, add Circle of Magic to your wish list. They're great. Yes, yeah. I love this. She just like jumps you right into interesting stuff and makes you want to turn the pages. Like, so good.
Let's see if the library has it. I need something so I don't dive into the second book too quickly.
Okay. Yeah.
So
well, try the first Circle of Magic book. It's very fun. This is going to make me want to reread them. It's been a while.
It is available, y'all. No holds, no waits. I am checking it out.
I love this. Making me want to read and reread every book she's ever. Me too. Me too. Yay. Okay, I finally got to the Robin Hobb responses. People are excited. Oh, I love it. Yes, Robin Hobb, if you want to join us. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Oh no. You don't know anything about Robin Hobb either. Oh. She is a classic fantasy author. I have down here. In fact, they just released this like beautiful anniversary edition of the first book. It's like illustrated. I really want to get the second one that just came out too, but like I'm like, well, maybe when we start actually reading the series, I can tell myself it's okay to do. These have like really but like it's illustrated. Like look at that. The art is like so pretty.
That's pretty.
That's beautiful. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll definitely be a little slower than the Alanna books, but yes, the Farseer trilogy. We will be reading the Farseer trilogy. That'll be fun. Yeah. This book and Mulan had a huge influence on me. Both are really important to me. See, female characters figuring out their worth in a male-dominated field, demanding respect from others. Yes. Same. Alanna was like my hero growing up. I love it. If you loved these, you'll love Robin Hobb. Cool.
Writing style similar.
I love it. Yeah. Yes. She has great because she has great characters too. Yeah. No, same. And I'm guessing she also would phrase it differently if it was written today. But I think like the conversations were so different back then around the stuff. But yeah.
just hearing everyone just say how much she's progressed in her writing, I think that if she were to go back and rewrite this book, she definitely would. She would rework that whole conversation.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree. The magic can't make it easier for it. Yeah. Yes, I think everybody's basically agreeing, but I mean, but for like the guys, like for 1983 or whatever it was, like I'm impressed.
Yeah,
How,
I'm very, very impressed by how well it holds up.
Yeah. This is a good place to start with Tamora Pierce or start with the Circle of Magic series. So like Alanna, the First Adventure, this was actually her debut. It's still really good. And like she's written in two main worlds, the Tortle world, which starts with this, and then the Circle of Magic world. So either of those are good places to start. Yes, I agree. Okay, people are saying start with Alanna, the First Adventure. Oh yeah, my parents censored censored all of my media consumption. I don't know about you.
My mom wasn't she didn't really censor. I don't think she had really much time, but like she would pay subtle attention to certain things. And honestly, I think she just went by cover, which is why the Bridget Terabithia kind of got pulled away because she just saw the cover. But as far as like content, if the cover looked age appropriate, my mom didn't care. Now, was everything I was reading then age appropriate? No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I probably got away with a little bit more with my books than other stuff, but like movies and music, they would definitely kind of have more censoring of. But yeah, important for her to have positive enforcement around being a female because she, no, I agree. I mean, I think the intention is a good one and an important one, and I like it resonated for me growing up. I just think for me on this reread in 2021, where I have friends who are NB and are trans, I was like, oh, okay. If I had been a trans person at 12 reading this, I probably would have like been kind of devastated. You know, I mean, I think it was like me kind of putting myself in their shoes. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why that is because it's not YA. It's
But you know what I think that comes from partly is I think that the majority of I wonder if because the majority of like just looking at it from a booktube stance, majority of booktube is centered around YA. And I wonder if what ends up happening is that when people see people reading certain books, especially books that everybody is reading, that they automatically assume that those books are targeted at a YA audience, and then people just kind of run with it. I mean, it's a long shot of a theory, but I wonder if that plays a role in it as well. Because when Priory of the Orange Tree came out, well, somebody was giving out arcs of that book. Something about that, I don't know. When everybody was reading that book, I feel like that kind of got associated with it being a YA title when it absolutely is not a YA title at all.
Do people call Poppy War YA? How?
Yes, I have seen people call, and I still haven't read it yet, and I've heard people say that it's YA. But the triggers alone for me are kind of like, there's no way in any shape or form that I would give this to a teen that I work with as a YA book. I wouldn't, in the least part.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot for a grown adults. But it's good. Yeah. Circle of Magic Readalong. I don't know. We've already got plans for Robin Hobb, but I hope this inspires you all to read more. Yeah, that is true. I like it too. Yes, it is so dark. Agreed. Okay, hold on. See, the problem is if I scroll too fast, it just like drops me down to the end. Oh, see, this is like, this is so frustrating. Like, why do they make this so hard? I don't usually have this problem because I don't usually have stuff with like this many. But people have like strong feelings about this. That's great. Oh, I love it. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to get to the next one too. It'll be fun. They're really easy to read. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
How's it going? Sorry, you probably commented that like a while ago, but we're trying to catch up. Opened it and had to put, yeah, no, I hear you. I've tried to like keep it on the shelf until I filmed, but I filmed my TBR today, so now it's like on my reading shelf. So I'm like, I can pick up the next book. Oh, that's just good to know. There's good narration for the Robin Hobb audiobooks. Cool. Fun. Yes, we will be reading them. Ah, hey, cool, Beth. Yeah, so we'll be doing that. That's a good classic. Yes. Hey, I can relate. Everything was censored. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Seems like people are definitely different things. Oh, and never had the talk. Interesting. We did. Like my parents did actually talk to me about sex, but like
But I think so much about kids who maybe back then, I mean, even today, to be quite honest with you, because I know that there are kids who are not getting the talk. And I keep thinking about like how important that section could be for someone.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was kind of revolutionary for me to see, like, that was probably the first and maybe only for quite a while time that I saw anybody approach sex as something that was ever okay if you weren't married to the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I think I did get the messaging that like it should be a positive experience for women too. Like that was a message I got, but it was like when you're married, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't, so it was like very, very conservative about like anything even near that before. But yeah, so no, this was a big book. Oh, where was I? I lost my place. Yeah, it is interesting seeing people just have like such different experiences. Oh, cool. Did she? That's interesting. Awesome. Starting it tonight. Hey, we're like getting it and more people to read it. I love it. Yes, everybody just go read Circle of Magic while you're waiting for the next one. That'll be good. What did Ashley think of? Oh, what did you think of Uncle Roger?
Skis ball. He was awful. He was trash. Dumpster fire. Like, why would you? Why would you set up your family member like that? I mean, I guess for me, it's kind of, I mean, I get it with like royalty wanting to have the throne, wanting to have that power, but I mean, it's a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, but you know what it reminded me of, weirdly enough, not that it's even related, but it made me think of, who's the king who was accused of killing his two nephews? Was it Richard III who supposedly killed his two nephews in order to take the throne? It kind of gave me those vibes.
Yeah.
Dirty, underhanded type of behavior and trying to play it off. And I feel like he knows Alanna is a threat because they had their little interaction. I feel like he knew what was up. So I'm interested to see that relationship between him and Alanna going forward, because I don't think it ends there, because she knew, like, he's no good. She tried telling the prince, he's setting you up. He's trying to kill you. So she knows what's up, and I think Uncle Roger knows that Alanna knows what's up. So if I could kill him, I'd kill him myself. But
I mean, he's a creep for sure. Yeah.
He is creepy. His whole vibe was off.
Well, I think it's interesting. She is so like she has good intuition about people, I think. And so I think it's interesting too, because it's a lot of like her following her into it, because she knows something's off about him, even though everybody around her doesn't. Yes. Meanwhile, I'm looking for his name. Is it Meanwhile, Sir Miles, right, that everyone's like, oh, he's just like this drunk knight. She sees something more in him and develops a relationship and friendship with him. And then like that's how she ends up getting her like magical sword, kind of.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, like it's just interesting, like her, I don't know, intuition
and able to she could pick up on people.
Yeah.
He's an interesting antagonist. I will say that he's a very, very interesting antagonist, and he's that whole conflict really, and the way that it ended, especially the way that he set them up, or he was trying to set the prince up in the end, for me, was really what made me want to automatically start cracking that second book open. And I was like, I can't do it, but I really wanted to jump into the second book because I wanted to see how that's all going to play out.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we do need to decide when our next live show is going to be, and it's going to be on Ashley's channel. Yes. So we can talk about it later. We don't have to do it right now, but we should. But if you have an idea, we could tell the people. But there will be a live show for book 2 sometime in March on Ashley's channel. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, it'll be fun. You could read them pretty fast. I just figure we both have so much on our plates. I didn't want to like overburden,
Yeah, no, because I'll be like, yeah, I can do it, and then I'm like, wait, no, I can't do it.
That's why I was like, okay, we'll just do like one a month. Like that
was doable for us.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. Okay, yeah. Robin Hobb's great. I mean, I think this is true. Parents don't always feel comfortable. I mean, it's awkward. Like
it is. I'm not looking forward to it.
But you know what? I guess you kind of like build up a tolerance. Like there's other awkward things I've had to talk to my kids about already. So I'm like, they just say stuff because they don't know. They have no filter. They're like,
I haven't gotten there yet.
Body parts, like, because I have boys, right? They're like, so mom, do you have the same body? Like, I'm not gonna like say it on the live stream, but like, do you have the same body part we do? I'm like, no, I don't. What? I don't believe you. Really? I'm like, no, it's different.
I sure don't. Oh, goodness gracious.
But yeah.
Wow. My talk was done. The comment before my talk was done via
I didn't even medical encyclopedia. You know what? Actually,
wow.
What who else? So Leanna from Leanna's library. I think she's talked to about that. Like her dad used Grey's Anatomy for the talk. Not the show, the book, like the medical.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not completely opposed to that, in part because people as old as me don't know their own anatomy. So that's also that's important. That's super important.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Good to know. I didn't do it on audio, so that's very interesting. Good. Richard the Lionheart. There you go.
Yes.
When I well, thank you. Claudius from Hamlet vibes. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to see more of him. I think someone else has already said that too. I think Heather said it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him on page as well. Also, their whole dad situation.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because like he's just like so in his head with his like academic text. He's just like, yeah, they're fine.
But it low-key hurt my feelings in the beginning, like, because you like that's right at the start of the book, and Alana's like, I mean, it's not like dad cares, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. Well, and I think that's it. Is like she ends up having these other great father figures that I think kind of step in, which I mean, I also think is kind of great, right? Like I imagine Mm-hmm.
I mean, particularly you think about the fact that like she was retelling this to girls in a group home whom like presumably maybe didn't have great fathers biologically.
Yeah.
And so the idea of like, well, you can have a crappy father who's, uninvolved and still find good father figures. I mean, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yes, Richard III. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, he does show up a little bit more eventually. I can't remember at what point, but
Really the term magic. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Sir Miles is so lovely. He's so nice.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beth. I've
Yeah.
read a couple of things that they say they don't feel like he could have possibly done murdered both of his nephews for the
Interesting.
throne.
It's a rumor he buried them in the wall of the tower. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty ruthless
It
for the
is. I
throne.
mean, there are people who are. It's like Game of Thrones. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is the truth.
I mean, I guess, this is the thing that I do like about this book is you see
Mhm.
examples of like bad adults and good adults because I think a lot of
Yes.
times in YA you just have like bad adults, you know?
Yeah. Parents or parental figures in YA books are
Dead or uninvolved or
dead,
awful.
uninvolved, like don't like you it makes you question like where are your parents during this
Well,
whole
now,
situation?
especially as an adult, I'm like, what is wrong with these parents?
I
Now
think
that I
as
have
an
kids.
adult and then being a parent yourself, you're like, no, this wouldn't fly in my household
Well,
at
it
all.
makes me want to be like, that like you're never walking home alone from school now, right? Or not, I mean not really, but like it's like stuff like that where I'm like, you read a book and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
No
so
portals for you.
it was a great balance that she did that, and it's amazing that, we're talking 30 years later, 40 years later actually. If I can't do math if anybody was wondering. We'll say 30 plus. Um some YA books you still can't still can't get that balance.
I know. I'm all well, and now like I'm always so happy when I do find a YA book with some good parent figures because it's rare to find. They always want to get them out of the way. I guess it would have been because what was this, like 1983, almost 40 years?
Yeah, almost 40 years. That
Yeah,
was
almost 40 years ago. I mean, that's impressive. Like this held up for like almost 40 years
40
later.
years.
Like,
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
something. Yes, kids are wild.
very much
You just
so.
wait, Ashley. Your little girl, like
I
she's gonna be
y'all
like,
listen. Bethany, it's just things right now and I'm like, you're not even 2. What are we going to do? You're not 2 yet. What is going on?
she's so cute though. Oh,
Thank
kids are something else. Yeah, I don't think that's uncommon. A lot of my friends were that way. I was like the friend with the most knowledge about sex because my parents actually talked to me about it. So I would like at sleepovers, I would be like, well, here's what I know about.
No, this is the lowdown.
Which I'm sure was not my parents' intention. But
Not at all.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has good father figures. Yes. Yeah, no, I agree with this, especially when they're like younger and
Mhm.
this is good. Yeah, like the Duke is pretty strict. Like she has punishments for when she does break the rules.
Mhm.
Um and just accepts it. I just think it's like she's so great. She's like brave and has good val. I don't know. I love Alanna. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I caught up with the comments. It's a miracle.
And then just when you get a handle on the comments, they get out of
I
control
know there will be
again.
more. It's all right. It's all right. I'm trying to think like other stuff. Yeah, it was just fun. rereading this stuff. I just think she's such a fun character, and I thought it was hilarious. It was like great, but also kind of funny. The whole thing of like when George finds out she's a girl, and she's just like, just like shows up. And then they're like, "Oh, that's why! Like, you've seen me naked," and she's like, "Yeah, don't get weird about it."
I was like, now y'all are panicking about the fact that she saw you naked. Just like, okay, but that I feel like that just was a testament to just like the friendship aspect of it that I loved. And Alanna is just chill. We want to talk about somebody that has some chill vibes. like, I mean,
she is.
Like, you saw me, all right. Like, no big deal. I mean, we're still cool. I may have seen
like
you
it's
naked.
not like I was looking. Like, who cares?
I mean, who cares? We're still friends. Let's move on. We've got bigger issues at hand. Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
She's cool. She's just really, really chill. Yeah.
It's good. I like this too. Her friends didn't fight all her battles for her and acknowledge she needed to stand up for herself. Yes.
Yes, especially with the bullying. I think I appreciate that as well, because it would have been easy, because they looked at Alanna as being, the small one and needing some backup, but they allowed her to handle the situation herself, and she handled it. Handled it. Because when I got to that part where she waxes behind like no other, I said, that's what you get. But then it showed the human side of her too, because even after, I was very shocked by it, but it made sense when I read it, was how guilty she felt afterward. She was like, I felt good while I was basically kicking his behind, but now I feel kind of bad about it. And I was like, that's the human part of it. It's not just, oh, I'm, this great person and I finally stood up this person and I kicked their backside. If it's not in your nature, but you have to resort to doing something like that, then there's going to be a part of you that's like, I don't feel good about this because I feel like I had an upper hand because I was training in areas that he's weaker in. So, but it made her super well developed.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, she feels like a real, like a person,
like a real person. Yeah, she does.
Yeah, it's so funny. 13 to 16-year-old girls leaving home at night is not safe. Yes, 100%.
It is the premise of every freaking Disney movie. I'm just so.
But you know what? Also, I didn't, because I was like scared of it. But like, I had friends who were doing it at like 15, 16, sneaking out at night and like meeting boys. So
yeah, I was scared of death. So I was scared of dying. So I never did it.
No, I never did either. But like, I had friends who did.
Yeah, I did. I had friends at that age who were going to teen clubs.
Oh yeah.
My mother had the audacity to tell me, she was like, Ashley, you didn't, because I went out, but I never like, I was always home by like 10, 11. Mom was like, you never stayed out late when you were young. I was like, I didn't feel like I could. She was like, oh, if you would have asked me, your curfew would have been 1 a.m. I said, you could stop lying now, because we both know that that's not true. You're saying that now because I have a child and you have a grandchild, but we all know that in reality, there's no way you would be like, sure, Ashley, you can go out to the teen club till 1 a.m. in the morning, please.
Yeah, no. I wanted to go to stuff like that, and it was like, no. Like the things that I got to stay out late for were like, after parties when I was in like theater shows and church lock-ins. Like that was like those were the things that I got to stay up late for.
I think mine were probably like after get-togethers for like prom and stuff, but any like regular old weekend, absolutely not.
No,
there was no way.
Which in hindsight, like lock-ins are such a terrible idea. Did you do those?
No, but I've heard some horror stories about lock-ins.
Yeah, no, they're
No.
I thankfully I never had like a bad experience, but I know people who did, and and even though it wasn't bad for me, it was still like, who thought this was a good idea? Because none of the adults stay awake all night.
No. lock a bunch of teenagers together and you expect everybody to behave.
Like, you expect everybody to behave and like sleep. Like, there would be like one person who would sleep. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of, you get a little more in contemporary sometimes, but frequently, just in general, you get not a lot. Ariel, I'm an adult now. Me, you're 16. Yeah. When I was 16, I was also like, I'm 16.
Oh, to be 16 again.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. Yes, Alanna is super chill. I love it. We have not tried Little Mermaid yet. That's so funny. Oh man.
We haven't. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be a thing.
I wasn't allowed to watch Little Mermaid when I was a kid. My mom's reason was she rebels against her father and doesn't face consequences. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things. So.
Oh.
Yeah. That's so funny. Discussion afterwards was amazing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was good. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Codes of Chivalry, fighting against codes of chivalry, talking about toxic masculinity. Look, she was Tamora Pierce, man. She's on it. I love it.
Just passing, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're like in the hypest part. Hey, you know, there's something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot happening here. Well, and I think too, for like setting expectations for girls of like how guys should behave and shouldn't, and like what those interactions should be like. I just think it's such a healthy version of it. But yeah. Yes, the sickness was interesting. Also, like the fact that like they talked in magical adult voices was so interesting, right? That you hear them like.
Yes. I just thought the whole sickness thing was an interesting magical element overall. I don't know if I knew it was fantasy, but I didn't know how, I guess, let's put it this way. I think my brain was so hyper focused on Alanna just trying to become a knight and having to do so under the guise of being a boy that I didn't even think about really the magical aspects and how they would be tied in, even though we kind of see it a little bit in the beginning. I really wasn't focused on it. So when it did happen, I was like, this is,
yeah, no, yeah. Because I hadn't really thought about it either. And I was like, oh, that's right. And then she doesn't know. She's like, what is happening to me?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. This is interesting. Felt like part one in a bigger book. Well, and it was part one in a bigger book, which is interesting, right? Because originally it was part of like a larger book that was broken up into pieces, multiple climactic points. Yeah. I love it. You had the like minister father. My parents were like occasionally like they weren't pastors, but they were involved in ministry related stuff. So like probably had some very similar things. And look at us now reading smutty romance novels.
Right. Oh, how times have changed.
Took me a long time to get comfortable with that, but like that's funny. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting like approach, right? It's so insidious to do that. Yes, things backfired. Yeah. Yeah. This is probably part of what, I don't know. It's funny. You do the best you can, I guess, as a parent. And
you think when you're a parent, you think about what your parents have done, and you're like, maybe in some ways they would just try good, because there are some things that I've done and some things that I do now, and I'm like, well, my mother tried. I mean,
yeah,
she tried.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's like nothing is perfect, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
especially with COVID, I'm like, well, putting very many limits on screen time kind of went out the window for us. Like, so I mean, my almost 7-year-old now has his first fandom. He's like a serious fan of a gaming YouTuber. Like, he'll be like, Mom, I want to subscribe and like all his videos and never give any dislikes. I'm like, okay.
It's all right. It's right. It is okay because my almost 2-year-old feels like she could conduct the choir for Sister Act. So it's okay. It's just
So funny. Well, I
different
did teach
times.
him because he was like watching all this stuff. So I was like, okay, here's the thing. If you want to try a new channel, you have to go to their about section. And if it doesn't say child friendly, you're not allowed to watch it. And so
That's
he was like, oh, okay. So like now he knows like,
the face. Oh,
yeah. So I was like, so who were you watching? Let's see. Does it say child friendly? He's like, nope, it doesn't. I was like, well, sorry. Let's try something else.
it's the facial expressions.
Like parenting in 2021. I'm like, okay. He watches like Minecraft videos and Slither.io videos. Like,
Listen. Times the parents right now are doing what they can to survive. That's what that's about.
yeah.
Because it's not like there's a lot, at least for me, I know there's not a lot for us to necessarily do, like the way we were actively like going out and going to the library, going to kid stuff. Like it's not happening, and the weather is crap right now, and she's still too young to kind of be out there like that. So I tell people, I was like, listen, we do what you can to survive, to make it. And if my child knows every song of Moana, then so be it.
Hey, there are worse things.
There are worse things in life.
It's so funny. Oh man. Yeah, I like this too. And there's more of it like through the series. I like the
Yes, I would love to see
Goddesses
more of
stuff.
that. Well, I can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah, you do. It's fun. I like it too. Yes. I know the naked thing. Like, what? They're naked in front of each other? Yeah, 100%. Because that was like very scandalizing at that age. That's true. And she's just like, no, whatever.
Chill Alanna. Like,
she's Alanna. She's so chill.
Alanna's like, catch out the bag. I guess, you see what you see.
Mm-hmm. It's like, don't make it weird.
Don't be awkward about this, okay? I would love to be her friend.
I know. She would be so great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Yeah. You can't control what you fear and don't understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Yes, already. Okay, well, I'm glad it's not just me. It's so funny. I'm like, okay. And then, well, and what's funny is they know, because they know I have a YouTube channel. He'll be like, one of his favorite is Jelly. His name is Jelly. He goes by Jelly. And he'd be like, well, Mom, Jelly has like however many 100,000 or like million subscribers. And I was like, okay then. Good for Jelly.
You have no filter whatsoever. No filter. No filter. Not you trying to tell Mom, well, what's going on with your channel?
It's like, and when he gets like 100,000 likes, he'll make a new video. And I'm like, maybe when I get 200 likes, I'll make a new video.
Oh my gosh. I can't.
Yeah, there's something else. Oh, she fast forwarded through the romantic. That's so funny. Well, now you can listen to them fully if you want to.
That reminds me of when my mom took me to go see Titanic in movie theaters, man. And she covered my eyes.
Yeah, or telling me to close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Oh my
is
gosh.
crazy.
Yeah. Yep. This is so funny. A lot of Minecraft YouTubers have a fan fiction written about it. What? Okay. About them.
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. We are not there yet, but we're like early in reading. But yeah, that's
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, she's great. Jelly, you know what? He is like he does like he clearly puts a lot of work into his videos. He's very entertaining and very high energy, and like I see why they like him, but like it's so funny. They're not impressed with your number yet, you know. Takes a lot to impress them. Well, and what's funny is like this is when I had to have a conversation with him. Actually, this is how things go, because this happened when I hit 10,000, and I was like, "Yay, 10,000!" And he was like, "Well, Jelly has this number," and I was like, "Okay, Conrad, how would you feel if you came and told me, Mom, I read this book that's like 200 pages, and what if I was like, yeah, well, I read a book that was 1,000 pages," and he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, like that."
That is hilarious.
Yeah. They are. It's so funny. Well, they just don't think about how the other person. So like I have to do things like that and be like, okay, if I did this, how would you feel? And he'll be like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you got to think about like. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah. Yep. This has like gotten. Oh, Titanic. Wow. Woo.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember going
that can be a
going
lot.
to the
It was
movie
an
theater
intense
and watching
one.
that.
That's definitely intense. Uh, the Fifth
Element.
Wow.
Wow.
At 9 or 10. Yeah. I would have been confused too. Like, probably because she was like, what are they doing? It's so funny. Kids yeah, I mean it's kind of funny. I wasn't like that upset about it, but I was like, let's talk about like how this is coming across. I don't think
I'm
you realize.
celebrating my 10K
Like,
and you're
I'm
telling
like,
me
here's what you say is you say, that's great, Mom. Congrats.
period. That's it.
The end. They are. I mean, it's true. They are hilarious, even when you're the Joneses. 100%. Yeah, they're very funny.
Baby girl just figured out how to side eye me, and I'm not sure where she got it from. But I think my parents thought I was lying until they caught her on video doing it yesterday. I told her to do something, and she side eyed me like, "Who are you talking to?" And I was like, "Oh, you know what?" I said,
Look,
"I can't wait. I cannot wait because we're gonna have the time of our lives. We are gonna have some fun."
they are like little sponges, though. They notice everything and pick up everything. So, like, if they see someone else doing it, they start doing it. It's just wild. But yeah. Yes.
A whole side eye. A whole side eye, y'all. And she knows that she's side eyeing me because I'll tell her something like, "Baby, get down. That's dangerous." And she'll side eye me like, "I know you're not talking to me." You know, Heather, it's probably my fault too.
So funny.
Because listen, in the real world, I don't talk. I just my face is that's all you need. That's where it's
and they watch and they pick it up, whatever you do. Oh, yeah, they're something else. It's very funny, but they're good. They're good kids. Well, it'll be interesting as she gets older. Like what the hell?
I just we're seeing some things now that I think are going to be interesting when she gets older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Figure it out, I guess. Well, let's see. I don't know. Any other thoughts on the book?
I am excited to pick up the second one. I know I keep saying that, but I low-key just may go ahead and go through it because I really want to know what's going to happen. after that everything that's been revealed within the last, few pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What did you think of the Black City, about the Black City?
I think it took me by surprise because once again, I think, like I was saying before, I feel like I was so hyper focused on just Alanna being or going through the process of knighthood that when that part came,
Mm-hmm.
I like the magical elements of it, and I thought it was low-key kind of creepy, to be honest with you, when I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very interesting dynamic to add to the story itself. I think that for me, I think it just overall, it just added more to the story.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think it's interesting because it also, like, even though we're not getting all of it on page, it's
Yeah,
clear that there's a history
yeah,
to the world. So, like, the fact that there's unseen world building that we're
yeah,
getting hints of, I think is kind of cool. And I
yeah.
think that's part of what makes it this like expansive world that she's able to
Mhm,
write all these different books and series in, is that like there's a lot, like it feels fully fleshed out and like lived in,
mhm.
which I think is cool. So yeah. Yeah. No, I had so much fun rereading it. I was like, I just love this so much. And it's so fun to read it and revisit it. And um, I am looking forward to the next book where she gets a cat, but it's a magical cat.
Mm, a magical cat.
That's fun. Semi, not like over the top magical, but like, un, you know.
Does the magic? I wonder if you could tell me this without it being um, without it being a spoiler.
Mhm.
How intense does the magical elements get in the series? Because for me, and maybe this is just me in the way that I read it, and once again, probably just go back to what I was fixated on. I felt
Yeah.
like it wasn't subtle necessarily, but I don't feel like it was all that the story had to offer. Does it become more center stage as the series goes on?
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is because if you remember, she doesn't like magic. She doesn't trust her
Yeah,
magic.
she doesn't at all.
And so part of her growth arc is learning to accept
Okay,
the magical side of her.
okay,
So it does slowly kind of become
yeah,
more of a
okay.
thing. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think the Bazir does stay in the series. I think you were correct about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with this. But yeah, there are some more great ones in other places. Excited to see where it's going.
No, not for me. It felt more creepy than dark per se. Um,
Yeah,
and I've seen some middle grade NYA that are a lot darker than that in terms of fantasy um in a graphic nature. So
yeah,
not really. I don't know if it
yeah,
would have been considered a little dark for the target audience in the time in which it was published, but reading it now, not at all. Not after reading the
yeah.
Guild. No.
Well, yeah. That's dark.
That's dark.
Yeah, I mean, because it's nothing really happens. Like it's just
Yeah.
the threat of it. Which, like, I mean, kids' movies from forever ago had that, like threats of like even like kids' fairy tales of like witches eating kids in the forest. I mean, like that's been around forever. So I don't think that's like anything new.
Yeah.
Um, do I have a favorite? I mean, honestly, well, I love all of them. We'll see when I reread it, but like I usually will say this is my favorite just because I love the story of her beginning her journey.
Hmm.
But all of them are great for different reasons. So I don't know. That's very hard to say. Maybe when I read all of them again, I'll tell you if I have a better answer for that. That is actually true. Well, and I think this is interesting in later quartets because Alanna ends up becoming that person for other girls. Like she ends up becoming the female role model for other girls who want to do this. She was kind of like the groundbreaker. So I think that's actually like a really good point. Because she was the first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly this. Yeah. I think it's pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's more creepy because he tries to pretend he's not. And I think especially as a kid, right? Like that's really disturbing when there are grown-ups who are not safe that other people think are safe.
Yes.
And that's real.
And that's I was about to say, and that's very, very real for a lot of kids, is having to endure the presence of an adult that a child can sense. And I wonder, like you said, because of the fact that she was writing this, or she was amending this for girls who were in a group home, if that may have been some of their experiences, is having to deal with an adult who is not safe, where other adults are very trusting of this adult, and you as a child know this person is not right. So it does. I think for me, that makes him even more creepy than what you may have seen in the Black City, because he's doing some. I mean, try to kill the. I mean, he's trying to kill a. I mean, I say child, but you get what I'm saying. But he tries to kill the prince for the throne, and he's actively trying to do so. So that in itself is creepy.
Yep. Yeah. Yep, I agree. It is very disturbing. Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It would have been nice. But I also think the fact that there weren't is probably part of why which I think is a cool arc also, like that she ends up choosing to be that for other women eventually, of like, I didn't have that support, but I'm going to make sure that other girls in the future have it.
I wonder if that was Pierce's intention, kind of, in looking at her own experience and having to break down some barriers in writing fantasy, where she may not have had that many women as role models writing fantasy, and she may have needed to be the person to just kind of take the jump and do it, and then be that model for others who would come after her. I mean, not saying that she necessarily wrote herself into her own story, but I mean, like, taking her own experience and applying it to Alanna would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, and also thinking about like the generation of feminists that she came of age with, that also probably just generally didn't have the experience of having as many like role models per se, and like having to break into things. I think she's an interesting thing. I agree. Yeah, you see things slowly change over time. Yeah, it's really interesting. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trusting your that's what I mean, like I was saying earlier, yeah, trusting your intuition on people. That's huge. Like kids need to do that. And like grown-ups need to like trust their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. It's been a while since I've read Ella Enchanted, but
okay.
Yeah, that's true. There are really good female role models there. She can definitely write them. It's just patriarchy, man.
Oh, the patriarchy.
This is why. I mean, like, I would say, like, these were my first introduction to feminism. Like, it is interesting because I was looking at some Goodreads reviews of some people who read them now and had more critiques of it, and part of me felt like, look, like you've got to realize, like, she wrote this in the 80s. Like, is it like the most perfectly feminist thing for today? Sure, no, but like for when they were written, like this was groundbreaking.
And I think I saw that with reviews as well. I think it was a lot of reading it in context of it having been written like, within the past couple of years, without realizing that, you have to take it for when it was written. You have to review it from, I think, that standpoint of, I mean,
Mhm.
we're talking 30 plus years ago. So, of
Yeah.
course, the way that we operate in certain things, whether that's looking at gender, whether that's looking at feminism, is not going to 100% line up with what, she was writing in those books. But I mean, look how society has evolved in the past 30 years. People weren't thinking the way that we're thinking now 30 years ago. A lot of things that have
Yeah.
happened have been groundbreaking in the last 30 years. So you got to give credit where credit is due. And she
Yeah.
did a heck of a job.
I mean, she really did.
Yeah, she really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, I, I think this is supposed to be the Tortles, not I'm guessing that's like an autocorrect thing. Tortle used to have female knights and such, but regressed. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, interesting. Becca Cooper trilogy has, yeah. It's been a while since I've read the other books. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to have female friends her age when she's like living with a bunch of boys training to be knights. But yeah, I take the point. And they're trying to hide her identity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I agree
Mm-hmm.
with this. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's impressive. Well, I think she was always progressive as part of it. Like these were very progressive books when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think that's part of why they do hold up as
Mm-hmm.
well as they do. Yeah. And she's also just like continued to champion other writers. Like it's wild. Like she reads a ton and blurbs books and like really like champions women and publishing, and she's just great. It's cool. Well, yeah. I feel like we've like kind of covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Um yeah. The regression to having no female knights was because of her religion. Oh, that is very interesting. I need to go back and read these other books, that it was because of a religious group that came into play. That is so fascinating. She has so much interesting stuff she's doing in her books. I mean, like,
It seems like she's
like
giving you
there's a lot.
the whole foundation of why things were before
Mm-hmm.
Alanna even gets there.
Mm-hmm. Yay. I'm so glad. You're welcome. I'm so glad people are enjoying them, and yeah, I think that's like most of what's similar to Christianity. Or yeah, and she's got things to say. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a reread of more of her books, but see how that happens. Okay, well, thank you everybody. This has been fun. All of Miss March is gonna be nostalgia rereads. I love it.
Salary.
I love it. That's fun. Yay. I'm so glad we're getting like pushing more people to read these.
Yeah, it's
I'm
good,
really glad
y'all.
you enjoyed it. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I really did. I really, really did enjoy it.
Yeah. It's fun. What is this? What do you think
Yes,
sometimes?
yes, the
Yeah.
denial, the denial,
Hmm.
the denial.
Hmm.
That's why I really want to see how he's going, because he's got to come to terms with the fact that his uncle I mean his cousin, sorry.
Yeah.
That Uncle Roger, I'm like his uncle, his cousin, Uncle Roger.
Yeah.
Here we go. His
Yeah.
cousin, Uncle Roger, is an awful human being. He's an awful human
Yeah.
being. And I wonder how much it's going to take for Alanna to be like, you need to see what I see
Yeah.
and accept it for
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. See, be interesting. Yay. You're welcome. I'm so glad that everybody joined in. It's been fun. Cool. Well, we will let you guys know when the next live show is going to be. Keep an eye over on Ashley's channel. You're probably already following her, but if you're not, go follow her. And we're going to be going back and forth for live shows. So next month is In the Hand of the Goddess. It's going to be fun. Yes. All likewise. Likewise, this is making me want to like pick up Circle of Magic again. I don't actually own those books either. Like, I need to buy them. They're so good. Yay. Thanks, everyone. Yes, her books are great. Like, I think they're sometimes underappreciated. So, another wild Friday night. Woo!
Out on the town.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
See, see, that's the thing. This was published in 1983, and like she was writing it originally in the 70s. Like, I mean,
it's pretty progressive for its time.
Yeah. It's wild. All right, guys. Well, this has been fun gushing. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next month to talk about In the Hand of the Goddess. Enjoy and go read all the books, because if you run out of stuff, there are many more. Have a good night. Bye.